but let's hear some of the leaked audio from this event at University College London.
Now, 40 years later, in about 1838, there was something called the Damascus Affair. What happened is there is a priest, Christian priest called Thomas. He disappears in Damascus during what is called the Feast of Tabernacles. So this is a Jewish feast. And the story goes, and again, these are things that you read, but again, as I said, do investigate, draw your own narrative. But the story is that during this feast, they make this these special pancakes or bread. And part of the holy ceremony is that drops of blood from someone who's not Jewish, which the term is Gentile, has to be mixed in that bread. So the story is that a certain investigation was undergoing to try and find where Father Thomas is. He was found murdered, and a group of Jews who lived in Syria said that, admitted to kidnapping him and murdering him to get drops of blood for making the holy bread.
I mean, that is untrue. It is a story that has been repeated many times, and those were the words of Dr Samar Maqusi, who previously worked as an academic on staff at the UCL's Bartlett Faculty of the Built Environment, giving a lecture on, as she calls it, the birth of Zionism. Now, we have a statement from University College London. Its president and provost is Dr Michael Spence, who said, "I'm absolutely appalled by these heinous anti-Semitic comments. Anti-Semitism has absolutely no place in our university, and I want to express my unequivocal apology to all Jewish students, staff, alumni and the wider community that these words were uttered at UCL. The individual responsible is a former fixed-term researcher at UCL, but not a current member of University College London staff. We have reported this incident to the police and have banned her from campus. We have launched a full investigation into how this happened and have banned the student group which hosted it from holding any further event on campus pending the outcome of this. Regrettably, like many UK universities, we continue to confront incidents of anti-Semitism and are committed to banishing this from our campus. We have initiated disciplinary proceedings against a number of students in relation to anti-Semitism and reported incidents to the police where appropriate. Freedom of speech and academic freedom are fundamental to university life, but they can never be misused as a shield for hatred. UCL remains steadfast in our commitment to ensure our campus is a safe, respectful and inclusive environment for everyone." If all that stuff has happened, well, fair dues, fair play to you, Dr Michael Spence, the UCL President and Provost. But the fact that this happened in the first place, the fact that this person made these ludicrous, deeply offensive and false remarks at one of our leading universities should concern all of us. It concerns me, and I know it concerns Nicole Lambert, who is an indefatigable campaigner against anti-Semitism and a journalist. Nicole, you're very welcome to the programme. Your take on this?
I think this is what happens. This is what happens when you allow anti-Semitism free reign on university campuses under the guise of free speech. Someone just earlier sent me an image that they had sent me last year, actually, and it was from 2024, and it's from the University College London's Slade, so their art school, and it's a sign saying "Zionists are burning babies," and that's the modern iteration of what is known as the blood libel trope. And the blood libel trope started in 1144 in this country. This idea that Jews wanted to kill, at that point it was just Christian children, to use in the Passover bread, the matzah. And this, incredibly, this blood libel continued, and it continued within Europe. And the affair that she's talking about, the Damascus blood libel, is the first incident of it hitting the Middle East, and it created, just as it did in Europe, it created pogroms and hatred and Jews being thrown out of countries. And so to hear it repeated on a London campus in 2025, nearly 1,000 years later, as if it was true, it is both shocking and unsurprising, in that we have, as I said, we have seen iterations of it, but this is it. It's clearly anti-Semitism. It's clearly an anti-Semitic trope. It's one that Jews have been lied about for nearly 1,000 years, and quite incredible that we are still hearing it on campuses. And if there hadn't been a Jewish student in that room recording it, then perhaps none of us would be any of the wiser.
And it does beg the question of how many other events have had speeches and deeply offensive and wrong things like this said at them at so many universities and many other places. Dr. Samar Maqusi, unsurprisingly, a former employee of UNRWA, the UN specific agency for Palestinians. I mean, that just doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, and it just makes you wonder, how has she got in here? She's obviously not bright at all. I've listened to the entire speech, and this is just one of the many things that she says. She also goes on about Jews owning all the banks, and then talks about Jews owning all publications, and be careful what you read because the Zionists control it all. So this is what someone steeped in conspiracy, but also not that clever. But it makes you wonder, who paid for her to come over? How many other people do we have like this that are spreading this kind of hatred on our universities? And what we've certainly seen is, we've seen in America and we're seeing in the UK, that often this is people that are coming from the Middle East. And I did a piece a few weeks ago on anti-Semitism in universities, and it was pointed out to me that some of these people are coming from places where this kind of stuff is taken as truth, this kind of anti-Semitism. But what they might have had a few years ago is people saying, of course that's not true, but they come to university campuses here and they're being backed up in it. In fact, they're almost being lauded for saying the stuff. And just because they changed the word from Jews to Zionists doesn't make any difference. It's the same lies.
Yes, and we people who do that a lot, actually, and say, you know, the word Zionist has been weaponized to such a huge degree, particularly recently in this country. It has historically, of course, as well, but not nearly as much as recently. And I do wonder about these students. I wonder about people who would choose to go to something like that, to hear these lies, and the fact that there are so many students now who appear to have been brainwashed into this anti-Semitism, Nicole. It's really concerning. What do you think about what University College London has said? It's a pretty robust statement, in fairness, from Dr. Michael Spence, the President and Provost of University College London.
I think it was a very good statement. It's good to hear that people are finally, after 2 years, taking this seriously. And I think they can see, so the war, there's been a ceasefire since mid-October, but I think what we can see on university campuses is that not only have things not got better, but often they've got worse. And instead of just them singing about ceasefire, stop the genocide, they're now actively turning in on Zionists. So what we've seen is this war has created radicalized behavior, and we're seeing it on university campuses, we're seeing it on our streets, and that affects not just Jews, but all of us, because it's also about democracies and all of that. So quite a lot of her lecture is anti-British. It's all basically about how the Brits let down the Arabs, how they lied to them, and how they created these problems. So what we are seeing is, through this war, radicalization, not just against Jews, not just against Israel, but against the West on a whole, and it's, people really need to stop it. So I'm really pleased he's called the police. We all know the police aren't so good at if someone says anti-Semitic, they still can't decide what they can do.
Well, look
about
at the Metropolitan Police and what we were discussing the other day in the Metropolitan Police, and Bob Villan, Pascal Robinson Foster saying at Alexandra Palace, death the IDF, death the IDF soldiers, and apparently there's no further action here. So, I mean, actually, the action by the UCL President and Provost, Dr. Michael Spence, might be the end of it, and might be the strongest and robust action that this person, this hate-filled so-called academic, will actually face.
I think that's what we need to do. We need to see more of this kind of behaviour being called out, and students who indulge in this sort of behaviour, and academics being thrown off campus. And if they aren't from this country, they should be thrown out as well.
Nicole, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to. We have free speech is really important, but we have hate speech laws, and we need to abide by them, whether it's on a university campus or not. We need to stop this radicalisation.
Nicole, thank you as always. Nicole Lambert there, campaigner against anti-Semitism and journalist.